Obviously, it didn't work out with Douglas Luiz, Telemans, Danilo, or anyone else who was linked with at the time. It just didn't bang. A defensive mid for me this window would be calm. I hear that. I just think, we've got 3 centre mids or 3 genuine centre mid options for me. And El Nene, who, if anything happens with Xhaka and Partey, you come in, you work better with them. We kind of know what we get a bit more. I'll always support Lokonga. I mean, I'll support every player here, and I hope that you get an opportunity and you take it. But if I just go on what we've seen, probably can't rely on you. And you're the one exception to the rule in that you're the guy that you could kind of say is going to be here long term. Xhaka, Partey, and then they're kind of here for the present. We've got longevity defensively and obviously offensively. We haven't really got that in central midfield. So I would like another midfield body, and I think Arteta would too. But January is a difficult time. People don't necessarily want to sell. It's a reactive market. You're reacting to players wanting to leave because of lack of football, injuries to your squad, contracts, and all of that sort of jazz. Get Mudryk, Milinkovic-Savic, and sell Balogun, buy a cheap backup after that. Long time I haven't tuned into DG. Blessings for the new year, bro, and the family. One love, appreciative. Right back at you and everybody tuned in. We're going to be playing a lot of games soon. We need options. Savic needs to come in as soon as possible on loan. Arsenal told they can sign Milinkovic-Savic this month. It's shock loan deal before 44 million transfer for Man United target. Arsenal been told they can sign Lazio star Sergi Milinkovic-Savic on loan this month, according to reports. The Gunners are hoping to complete a deal for Shakhtar, the next winger Mudryk, who is their number 1 January target. But Mikel Arteta also wants depth in midfield ahead of what could be a testing second half of the season in the Prem, FA Cup and Europa League. The Gunners failed in their deadline day attempt to sign Aston Villa man Douglas Luiz, who has since signed a new deal. That appears to suggest Arteta still wants to bring in a central midfielder, and a report out of Italy reckons Savic could end up being that man. I'd imagine it's in the summer. The Lazio ace's contract expires in 2024, but he could be allowed to leave the Italian capital this month. I mean, he's been linked with Arsenal, Man United, but where's the credibility? Let's see what's going on here. Apparently, he could leave as early as January, according to what was reported by this publication. The president, Lotito, tired of the push and pull with the player for a renewal, would also accept a transfer or on an expensive loan of 10 million euros with a redemption obligation at the end of the season set at 40 million euros for a total, therefore, 50 million. Juventus and Arsenal, clubs historically interested in Milinkovic-Savic, would have already raised their antennas ready for the transfer market coup. I think he goes Juventus, but it is what it is in that regard. So that's Milinkovic-Savic and all of that. In relation to Mudryk now, people, in current form, where does Milinkovic-Savic play for? He probably doesn't get in the team, but you'd imagine he takes Xhaka's role. And that could be a reason we do or don't sign him. As you know, Fabrizio Romano reported on Thursday that Arsenal made a 3rd official bid for Mudryk. He's provided an update, people, and he said, we can say that Arsenal submitted the 3rd official bid for Mudryk. The first one, 40 million euros plus add-ons rejected. The second one, 50 million plus add-ons rejected. Now Arsenal have offered 70 million guaranteed, and add-ons are also part of the deal. I'm told that the add-ons package is close to 20 to 25 million euros. Arsenal are really getting closer to the 100 million euros, but with add-ons. It's important to explain that when we say add-ons, it can mean something really difficult to achieve. For example, to win the Ballon d'Or, smash the like button, keep your opinions coming in. To win the Ballon d'Or, to win the Champions League, to win trophies, or it could be something really easy to achieve. It could be like the number of games to play or a number of goals to score. So add-ons sometimes mean something general, but the reality is that it's something really specific. This is why Arsenal and Shakhtar will keep in contact to discuss about the proposal. Arsenal are waiting for Shakhtar to decide, but add-ons is a lot of money, and this is why the two clubs will be in contact on that. But the bid is on the table, 20 to 25 million euros in add-ons, 70 million guaranteed for someone that's played 44 times in at 21 years of age. That's good money, Shakhtar. Stop acting. We know that Arsenal have an agreement with the player. There's no problem on the personal terms. Let me clarify one thing. We're not at the stage of at the here we go stage. The bid is on the table, and now it's on Shakhtar, and the negotiations continue. But we have to wait and see if a deal can be completed. Previously, he did say the player always wanted Arsenal as a priority. So on the player side, nothing has changed. I've seen many rumours in the last 2-3 days saying it's almost done, Mudryk to Arsenal. At the moment, it's not done. At the moment, it's negotiations between Arsenal and Shakhtar. They are speaking, they are negotiating. The player wants Arsenal, and that's helping Arsenal in negotiations. They're confident, they're optimistic, but it's not a done deal yet. Arsenal knows that Shakhtar wants 100 million euros for Mudryk. The player wants to go to Arsenal. The player wants to go to Arsenal. The player is obsessed with Arsenal, as you've seen with his social antics. So there's also this kind of respect for the player. And this is why I feel in the end, they could accept something less than 100 million. But as of right now, they are asking for 100 million euros. Let me just say, Arsenal are really confident because they're speaking to Shakhtar every single day. They're pushing in negotiations. They're trying to find a way to give Shakhtar what they want, but not guaranteed 100 million euros. Talks ongoing. Arsenal are confident, but it is not done yet. It's not over to the fat lady sings. You should become an agent. I should, man. YouTube the wrong hustle. We shouldn't forget spots have to be made to accommodate signings. Would you really? I hear that, but would you really think there's not a spot for a central midfielder? I'm with Mudryk. We can play Martinelli in the middle or play with our two old strikers up front formation. Either way, we need that extra firepower. Xhaka is done out here. He's been terrible last few games. We need Savic. Classic Gooner. I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think Xhaka's been terrible this season, much less our last two games. He might not be scoring goals, but that's a madness. I like Martinelli, but I think Mudryk will take his spot. Mudryk is faster and less selfish. The amount of times I've seen Martinelli hold on to the ball for too long. And again, without having 10 games to bring to Mudryk, do you think some of the... And I back it, I want Mudryk to believe he could take spots. I want everyone to believe that. But do you really think that's going to be too dissimilar? All of them do. As great as Martinelli, Saka, Smith Rowe, and all these young dons are, even Jesus to a slight degree, and Eddie, that sometimes they shoot when they should pass when they should shoot. Sometimes they don't necessarily take opportunities. Sometimes they overdo it. Check out the video I did on my YouTube page, people, and I'll find it for you, where Ukrainian football expert of Zora London, Andrew, we spoke about that. We spoke about Mudryk's weaknesses, and he said at times he will do too much. That's no disrespect to him. That's not dissimilar from Martinelli, but I expect that. As I said, 21 years of age, people. He's 21. He's played 44 times. I'm not expecting a guy to be the finished article. As long as Arteta knows how he can help us in the short term, how he, knows his strengths, and now that can help us make his strengths even greater and evidently work on his weaknesses. Where is it, bro? We've brought out Beervid. There it is. Let me get the link for you guys, people. Again, this is some extended homework for some of you. Don't go and play it. Let me come back to the screen. There we go. So I expect that sort of stuff, bro. But yeah, carrying on this, people. Arsenal close to agreeing a deal for 80 million star Mudryk by paying more than 50 million up front, with the Gunners in pole position despite Chelsea's interest. We've seen what they did to João Felix already. When last did he get a red card? Agendas after agenda. Getting paid. He just come in London for a holiday, man. Arsenal are close to an agreement with Shakhtar Donetsk for Mudryk. The deal is believed to be worth between 75 and 80 million for Mudryk. The Gunners are prepared to offer more than 50 million up front for the winger. Shakhtar Donetsk initially set an asking price of 88 million for the 22-year-old. There's growing confidence that Arsenal are close to an agreement with Shakhtar Donetsk over a January deal for Mudryk. Sources in Ukraine say discussions over a move for the Ukrainian international believed to be worth between 75 and 80 million are still ongoing. Shakhtar set an asking price of 88 million for the 22-year-old, and it's understood Arsenal could now be prepared to offer more than 50 million up front, as we've seen. Personal terms are not expected to be a problem, given Mudryk has made clear his desire to join Arsenal. The two clubs are trying to find common ground on the structure of a deal, namely the proportion of add-ons and whether they can be met by Mudryk. So that seems to be the consensus. Arsenal's opening two bids were turned down, and there were fears that Chelsea could scupper their move for Mudryk, Mikel Arteta's primary January target. Sources claim Chelsea remain in talks with Shakhtar, but Arsenal have always appeared in pole position due to Mudryk's clear desire to move to North London. So again, assuming Mudryk happens, that's Mudryk, Jesus, Richarlison, and Rafinha, who have all turfed Chelsea and played them really. And Shakhtar have done well to kind of play Arsenal and Chelsea against each other. Arsenal have done well to stick to their guns, but we do want to get this guy in. Arteta did previously say the problem is that we only have one striker, and to cope for that many months until Gabby is back is not easy, but we have to get the most out of the players that we have at the moment. If we can have some reinforcements, great. So the gaffer has said it there, really. Again, kind of the same thing with Mudryk. Arsenal make new offer of 62 million plus bonuses for Mudryk following further talks, people. So yeah, man. The restructured proposal is understood to be around 62 million plus bonuses. The key for Shakhtar is that they wanted more upfront than the 45 million offered. And while their ideal is 80 million, they're expected to accept slightly less. Again, scrolling all the way down, we all know Chelsea have been involved. We all know the social media antics that Mudryk is doing, people. So we'll have to see. Currently, he's in Turkey because he's contracted to still work for Shakhtar, and they're beginning for their resumption of the Ukrainian league, people. So it is what it is. Also, have you heard why we lost interest in Danilo? Maybe there's other targets. Maybe we've on further scouting, Danilo's not the guy. We're going to see if he allegedly goes thingy, innit? If he allegedly goes Nottingham Forest. Let's try Milinkovic-Savic on loan, and if it doesn't work out, try Fiori in the summer. Smash the likes, people. Get the likes up to 200 and subscribe. Join the DG Nation. South London's finest. You're too nice. S has said, big up DG, one love, my guy. If Mudryk happens, you playing Martinelli through the middle or holding on with Eddie? I think right now, Martinelli would stay through the middle because on one hand, I do think Martinelli has the scope to play on the left, on the right, and long-term up front. But with Jesus gone, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't really want to mess around with Martinelli at this moment, but it is something to consider. It is something to do. And with Eddie Nketiah, until he does anything else, he's showing he deserves it. He's doing well. Yes, he's added a couple of goals to his game recently, but I think his general performance has been good. So until we have to really explore that, I wouldn't do it right now. But long-term, Martinelli being able to play as a striker is something. But there's a lot of education that Martinelli is shown from a year ago playing left wing. There's a lot of re-education they have to do to play up front. And we've lost already what Jesus gives us. What Martinelli's giving us presently, you might lose that with him playing up front because you're going to have to kind of be selfless. And Martinelli's in a nice way. He's got ants in his pants. He wants to get involved. He'd have to play slightly different, but he's quick. He's relentless in his pressing. Obviously, he's developing physically. He'd have to improve with his back to goal and how he affects the game and sometimes making certain runs so that other people could take advantage. So the defo could do it, but I don't think I'd play around with it right now. It is nice to have options across the pitch, Daniel. Amen. Remember when Arsenal fans didn't want depth? Oh, we can't get Odegaard, Smith Rowe and Saka this and Saka that and the rest of it. Milinkovic-Savic with option to buy is a no-brainer. Get it done. DJ, if we get Champions League in the summer, would you still get Savic or would you look at someone else? Because for me, I would go a little younger. I mean, dream signings, if you can get Milinkovic-Savic, Barella, but I'm even on Declan Rice, really. If you put the bread down, like if you could get these kind of guys, then make it happen, innit? But the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately, man. DG, to be honest, in your eyes, is this Mudryk worth the hype? I don't know because I can't tell you his weaknesses. I can't tell you a time things have gone wrong in the game for him. I can't tell you 10 90-minute games. From what I've seen, it looks like you got some qualities that you can bring at Arsenal. What I would say is calm it all down a bit because he's 21 years of age and there will be a culture shock and he is joining mid-season. But Mikel Arteta and Edu, if you wanted him in the summer, you've obviously scouted him before he's become known to us normal football fans. Since then, obviously, he's doing what he's doing in Ukraine and he's doing what needs to be done in the champs. There's potential there in it, so go and make it happen. Tonali, all these wavy guys, Danilo's allegedly signed for Forest. So if Forest go down, which I think they might, or they could beat it, who knows, man? Either it's a missed one or a dodged bullet. Again, Arsenal edge closer to Mudryk deal as transfer talks accelerate with Shakhtar, says Charles Watts of Goal.com. Arsenal have edged closer to landing Mudryk after breakthrough in talks with Shakhtar Donetsk over the star winger. As we know, people, negotiations have been ongoing for weeks between the two clubs over Mudryk, who is desperate to make the move to North London this month. Shakhtar have been insistent throughout that they want 100 million euros in bracket 88 million for the 22-year-old. A figure Arsenal have been reluctant to meet. But the Gunners are now hopeful that a deal can be struck, with sources confirming to Goal that the protracted negotiations are now centered around the final structure of the transfer. So if we've got the framework done, we just need to dot I's, cross T's. We've got personal terms done. He just needs to do his medical once officially a bid's been agreed. Rather than the initial fee with the potential add-ons, the key point of this of discussions. Kevin, I don't know who DJ is, but one love, man. Shout the Antiguans. So yeah. If a structure can be agreed with realistic add-ons that Shakhtar find acceptable, then there is a growing belief that the transfer saga could soon come to a successful conclusion for all parties, with Goal being told that a deal is now closer than it has ever been. Mudryk is currently with the rest of the Shakhtar squad at a training camp in Turkey, and the Ukrainian club are adamant that he will prepare as usual for the restart of their league campaign while talks with Arsenal continue. And that's cool. Leave it to your agent and Arsenal and the people them at Shakhtar. Keep training. It's in your best interest to keep training, keep working, and come to Arsenal in the best possible shape, because it might be a dream move. Reality is there's pressure for spots and we're trying to achieve things this season. Arsenal closing on Mudryk transfer with confidence over 80 million agreement. As we've seen, people, Shakhtar value Mudryk at 88 million. It's understood that Arsenal have now expressed a willingness to part with around 60 million up front. There's confidence that a deal worth a total of approximately 75 to 80 million can be struck, with the sticking point now being the add-ons involved. Shakhtar wants assurances over the structure of those bonuses and the probability that they can be met during Mudryk's time at Arsenal. As we know, Chelsea have also expressed an interest in signing the 22-year-old in January, but Arsenal remain confident they'll win the race due to the player's desire to join them. Once again, for the 50 millionth time, Mudryk is Mikel Arteta's number one transfer target this month. And as you lot can see here, people, Ben Jacobs said, following direct back and forth since Monday, told there's some consensus over the guaranteed part of the fee. Arsenal still not at the 100 million euros in total package. Arsenal plan has always been to improve the structure and stick to their top-end valuation. Shakhtar have told Mudryk it's business as usual, hence why he flew to the training camp in Turkey. But Arsenal are very optimistic. They still don't believe the final price will be as high as Shakhtar's public valuation or view Chelsea, in brackets, who haven't bid today, as a threat. The third offer, as Fabrizio Romano was first to report, was placed this evening and has a healthy guaranteed fee, not quite as high as 70 million euros, I am told, and no answer has yet been given. All parties expect to use this bid as a framework to try and verbally reach an agreement in principle. So less about a straight acceptance / rejection and more about verbally finessing things. Where I'm from, finessing, that word there, it makes me look at what's going on. Point to reiterate, dealing with Shakhtar is atypical, notoriously tough negotiators, and local knowledge is important when dealing with them. Arsenal expect this to drag on a bit, even with Mudryk dropping near daily Arsenal hints. That's why they haven't wavered in confidence, people. Con Marble Halls has said Arsenal pushing to get this through, should be wrapped up swiftly now with little to no more details to go through. Payment structure, final discussions, fee same as mentioned before, with more guaranteed, could be here for medicals, etc. before the Spurs game, and that would be lit. As mentioned 3 days ago, fee of around 77 million. Still some fine details to go through, but almost certain Arsenal have got their man. Until he signed, who knows, people? Smash their like button. It is what it is in that regards, ain't it? So we're going to have to see how this develops. Continuing this, people, talks between Arsenal and Shakhtar are now centered around the proportion of the transfer fee, how much of it is paid up front and how much of it will be in add-ons. The expectation is that the initial payment for Mudryk will be more than 50 million, people, says everyone. Closing in on an agreement with Mudryk. Telegraph Sport understands Arsenal have indicated a willingness to agree a deal that could be worth around 75 to 80, including no add-ons. So it seems, or better yet, it appears, 50, 60 million up front, add-ons and all of those sort of things takes it to about 80. End of the day, if he wants to justify the price tag, the football's a simple game. Just play well, innit? Really and truly. What about Ndidi, Myth? Would that be a record for Shakhtar? You'd have to imagine so. Fernandinho, Fred, Douglas Costa, Mkhitaryan. I don't know if I said Fernandinho, but you'd imagine these guys didn't cost as much as that. And as I said, when you look at the maths, he's got 70 odd career appearances. He's played 44 times for Shakhtar. To get 60, 80 million for him is a madness. And if we was to break it down a bit more, let's actually see how much top flight or Ukrainian top flight appearances he has, because it is a small case study. There's a lot of development young Mudryk will have to do. As much as I think he looks lit and I back him all the way, we have to kind of, I'm not saying water it down, because they've been saying Ukrainian Neymar, you're going to cost 80 million quid. There's an element of stuff you can't protect him from. But when you just go through the numbers, people, yeah, it looks sexy where the champ's concerned. And I'm not belittling his thing at all. 6 appearances, 3 goals, 2 assists. That's wavy, but that's 519 minutes. As I said, 44 times for Shakhtar. 12 goals, 17 assists, but he's played 44 times. He's played on 2 loan spells. He played 10 times for Arsenal Kiev and Dresdner. Dresdner, he's played 11 times for them, innit? In terms of competitions, he's been capped 8 times by Ukraine. He's been capped, he's played 38. So again, that's almost like if he signed in August and he played every game from now till May, that is his first season. So again, Arteta needs to know his strengths, but more importantly, his weaknesses, because how are you going to improve? So there's a lot of education my man has to do. Fortunately, he's in the right place because we're doing this youngster thing. No one's the finished article, excluding Partey, Xhaka, and El Nene, because what you kind of see is what you get. Kind of excluding Xhaka because he's kind of reworked how he plays, really. But then again, Wenger used to say Xhaka could play in this role, and we looked at him a bit funny. So it is what it is. And if I was to draw him out a bit more in a positive way, you're doing it in the Champions League and you have done well against Real Madrid, but man expects you to do well against Leipzig and Celtic and that, really and truly. So you're going to have to, it all depends how you look at these things, people, but we need options. We need players with scope to be better than they are. We need stronger defense. We need stronger offensive options. Bring that in it and let's go do this thing, innit? Really? Like, what more can I say? Make it happen. Fabrizio Romano was the first to tweet about it. Arsenal have submitted a new bid for Mudryk in the last few hours. Parties are now getting closer. No breakthrough yet. Talks ongoing with Shakhtar. Arsenal still leading the race. No official bid from Chelsea as things stands. So that's how Chelsea fans are going to get out of it. Oh, we didn't bid. Big up Freddie Paxton. Arsenal's latest offer of 70 million euros. Add-ons takes the overall package much closer to the 100 million Shakhtar have held out for. Deal structure will be key, but it seems from Arsenal's side they're determined to get over the line. I hope so. I really do, because, Edu's done good work in the transfer market, but we've also held some L's. And I hope it's not got shades of Pepe. One key thing Arsenal have always had on their side, Mudryk is completely sold on playing for the club. He wants to join his international teammates Zinchenko in North London, and allegedly it's never been in question. Once again, bonuses allegedly are seen as the final hurdle. There's even talk of a medical scheduled as well, people. The Londoners are pushing hard to finalise a deal this weekend and have put their medical team on standby for a medical if an agreement can be secured. So hopefully that's done. And I don't know who, well, we've got Man United in it. So in an ideal world, he'd be available for Man United. Well, in an ideal world, it'd actually be available for Spurs, but who knows? Again, I can't understand Ukrainian. Google Translate, you're going to help us out. Once again, Arsenal made a new offer to Shakhtar regarding the transfer of Mikhail Mudryk. The Londoners sent to the next club an improved offer to buy the player. There's been no official reaction from them yet. Obviously, our first two bids were rejected. At the same time, Mudryk himself has already agreed with the London club on the terms of a personal contract. According to Sports Arena, the parties previously discussed the ratio of guaranteed payment and bonuses for the Ukrainian football player. The London club wants bonuses to be a minimum of 30% of the total transfer amount. Shakhtar wants bonuses to be a maximum of 20%. So we'll have to see. Currently for Shakhtar, he's played 18 matches and scored 10 goals and got 8 assists, people. And, you know, we need that. Bring that. We've just spoken about Milinkovic-Savic. Again, antics for Mudryk. I'm here for it. You're doing all you can. Social media antics, but we're going to need a lot more than that to get things done. Going back to Milinkovic-Savic, Ben Jacobs allegedly said, I think Milinkovic-Savic has been on Arsenal and a number of clubs' radars for quite some time, but the challenge remains that Lazio have always been very reluctant to sell and the quoted fee has been quite high. I'd be surprised if it's not impossible, but I'd be surprised if a permanent transfer in January was possible. But I don't think that alone is unthinkable, except for the fact that time is ticking away and Lazio's position hasn't hugely changed. So it all depends, man, where you lot want to read things, people. Again, this was previously stated by a Ukrainian football coach. What can be said there? Mudryk wants to go to Arsenal, and Arteta wants to create a Ukrainian connection. Mudryk and Zinchenko on the left flank. He'll play right away. Now, in this position at Arsenal, there's no one stronger than Mudryk. I hope so, because that raises the curtain of our team, or the ceiling better yet. No one will ever give 100 million for Mudryk, and do not draw a parallel with Anthony here. He played so much for Ajax and proved himself there. And Mudryk is not yet a known footballer, a dark horse for Europe who shot this season in the Champions League. As for the transfer, I think the issue will be resolved at the end of January. And for the amount that Arsenal wants, the price will be quite decent, but far from what Shakhtar wants. The pitman can outplay themselves. If Mudryk is not sold to Arsenal now, they will not get such a sum for him again, allegedly, people. So, yeah, that's that. What is this? Apparently, Barcelona want to sell Rafinha, Ferran Torres, and Ansu Fati. And as usual, three clubs that tried to get him in the summer in Arsenal, Chelsea, and Spurs have allegedly been handed the opportunity. 55 million signed, 26 years of age. I mean, if you don't get Mudryk, I'd like both, but I feel we'll get Mudryk and maybe move towards another striker or leave that sort of region and go for a centre mid. If you could get him on loan with an option, why not? But Barcelona, we've got financial issues. You're bugging out if you think we're going to give you 55 million, regardless if he's Premier League proven and all of that jazz, really. You know, for Rafinha, would you want to give up on what's been your boyhood dream and stuff 6 months into it? I don't know. But if Barcelona want to cut their ties, then Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati and Rafinha would all be of interest, really. And we was Rafinha's third choice. He wanted Barca, then he wanted Chelsea, and then us. So I think like Vlahovic, the boat sailed, but you never know, really and truly, in this life, people. You really never know. Should we see if there's any other publications saying anything away from stuff? We've kind of seen this already. Shout out the Gaffer and Odegaard. Boy, everything's just getting wavy for us, ain't it? AC Milan are allegedly interested in Rafinha as well, people. So draw whatever conclusions you expect to draw there. Previously in the summer, you know, we did hear Edu speak about signing Rafinha. This was in July. I just said to Deco, can you explain to me the situation with Rafinha? He was clear. Edu, we have a good relationship. I'm not going to lie to you. His idea is to go to Barcelona because he's dreaming to go to Barcelona. We've been talking to Barcelona since a long time ago, and it does look like a bullet dodged at this moment in time for all fans. You know, Arsenal and Chelsea fans hate each other. We always link up to get at Rafinha. I think, okay, thank you very much. If something happens, then just let me know because I can explore and understand the situation. If not, no problem. We carry on with our relationship. The one thing I don't like about Rafinha, and I'm not one of them guys, if you can play on the right, you can play on the left. Martinelli's shown he can. Remember Old Trafford a couple of years ago, he can play on the left, play on the right. Saka the same. Mudryk the same, from the limited knowledge. And, you know, a couple of other adaptable players. Rafinha looks a completely different player on that left-hand side to the right, and he's been deployed on the left a few times for Barcelona, and obviously he's behind Dembele. So that would, at 26 years of age, if the youngest them can do it, 26 years of age, what you see is what you get, people. So I don't know. But for what it's worth, according to Spanish television show, yeah, Rafinha is one of 3 players shortlisted by Barca as they seek to once again continue balancing their finances. Ferran Torres, a signing from Manchester City 12 months ago, and rather surprisingly, Ansu Fati are also available. Rafinha has struggled for form in La Liga and even publicly hit out at head coach Xavi over his perceived misuse of the Brazilian. He prefers to play on the right wing, cutting inside on his left foot, but he has often been used on the left of a 3-man attack. Yes, I told Xavi, I think he got it. I want to help the team as much as possible. I told him that I wasn't helping the team on the left. He has 2 goals in 15 La Liga games and hasn't started too many, but you never know. He's relearning football. You know, the big fish in the small pond antics at Leeds is not going to cut it at Barcelona. I don't mind competing with Osimhen on the right. I like that competition, but I'd like to compete in my place where I feel more comfortable at the moment. Xavi then said he is open to playing where necessary. In fact, we talked a couple of weeks ago. Bro, Xavi's probably saying, who's this guy? I've seen Ronaldinho, Messi, all of these guys. You know, who are you, blood? Like, I don't know. You was at Leeds for a couple minutes and Rennes. You can't tell me anything. You play well. You're lucky that I bought you. It's going to be important. It's been even more so coming off the bench. He always comes out well. It's going to be important. I have no doubts. I think he will get it right. I like to back people in it, but truthfully, who knows? What's this? See what Arsenal transfer news thing is saying. This looks meaty. Where's the goal? Where's goal.com's Arsenal transfers thing, man? Where is it? Let's see if we've been linked with anything else, people. Lie to me, man. Jude Bellingham settings or something, man. I love this positivity around our club. Arsenal have submitted a bid worth 70 million euros for Mudryk, allegedly. Admittedly, tired of that. Arsenal still in the hunt to sign Vlahovic. Yeah, right. You know, it seems like that one's gone. But Arsenal is once again interested in signing Serbian striker Vlahovic. The Gunners